I forgot to hit record.
Oops.
If somebody is going to say, well, drop your gear off there and then, walk down.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, I mean, you've got all these people that are working that are going to be parked for 6-8 hours, whatever. If they can go down there, they can walk with them. What are they bringing to work? Their wallet and their cell phone. I mean, they can walk. People go to Max or going to the Pro, they don't have anything in their hands. They could park down there and walk. Does it create a little bit more walking traffic? I don't know. I just think
Well, I think you're making sense. I agree with that theory. I mean, I think you're right. The ones that are closest to the slips, the ones that are in front of the slip should, be our priority. But, the only reason why I did what, my thought was just to increase the amount of spaces on the
just,
pier.
yeah,
you know?
and it's let the walkers park down there. I don't know.
That makes perfect sense.
I mean, if you follow that, Dave, and those who agree with that, putting the 72 cars in the middle, it sounds like, we're comfortable with retaining just the 58 trailer parking spots.
Right. I would say, do we need any more than that, Will, as far as the state is concerned?
No, they only
No.
mandated 58.
Okay.
Yeah, it's more of just like a weekend usage issue, like everything is at the harbor. But I do think that the color coding is going to be an important issue.
I got a roller.
Yeah, and if we post those signs up, granted people have to, read signs, but on our main billboard, do not park in the yellow spots or only or whatever, or Pam Green, who knows? But I think that's a good way to also, be able to kind of differentiate those spots as well.
Last meeting, Will, one of the things that we talked about was how they do it in Provincetown. One of the things they do for at least the commercial guys, and it makes good sense, is they issue a placard that's laminated that allows you to, and I think it's 2 per car, but even if it's 1 per slip holder, that's fine. But what it does is it allows you, if like your vehicle's in the shop or you're not using your truck or you have another vehicle, you can use that so that it's for the slip owner, and that placard is assigned to that person. So
Like a handicap tag.
Yeah. And you can hang it right on your
Rear view.
on your rear view mirror, and that way it's easily enforceable too.
Yeah, I think that would definitely help with the enforcement, especially something hanging that would be easy to see. And then of course posting it up on those walls. One thing I thought of what you're saying, Dave, parking them at the angles on both angles. It'd be nice to get a couple vehicles there, maybe have our own, and take a picture of them parked like that, and then maybe we could check with the harbor master truck and put that in at that angle. I mean, a little tight right now for that, but just to show people when this comes up to the town, kind of what we're presenting there.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
When we look at that middle area in front of the bandstand that has trailer parking, it seems like there's enough room to do cars at an angle, because from where the lines are now to the guardrail of 58 trailers is 30 feet. And going the other way to the guardrails is 20 feet. So that it would appear to be sufficient room. I think one of the first things we need to conclude on is how many cars and how many trailers. If you look at retaining the 58 trailers by the guardrail and the plan of the 72 in the middle in front of the bandstand, the 52 by the guardrail, and then go over the 21 by the slips at the beginning of the pier, that gives you 145 for cars and 58 for trailers. It's a 60-40%. If if you follow up on what Walter was recommending, in taking that 47 block in the middle opposite the beach office, that changes the ratio 70% to 30%.
I think we can add more spots there too, in those middle lanes. Certainly once the fuel tanks are done, but also if you look at how wide it is in between the end of those spots and like the beach and shellfish building, there's a lot of room there. I don't know. I mean, I know I've heard it's a road and everything in there, but I don't know of any legitimate ones that we have to follow except for, emergency egress widths. But I know even if,
Yeah, sight lines. That's the other
yeah,
thing.
but I know we could, I mean, if you see it on a Saturday, they're doing it anyway, and it's still plenty enough room to turn around it, to get at least another, four spaces in each row or something.
One
looking
thing
at
that
eight.
Walter's idea, I think, would accomplish would prepare for the future. It's one thing for this summer with the slip holders and minimal parking needed for the moorings. But when the mooring field is done, that demand is going to increase. I think we can anticipate. Your thoughts?
Now, my question is, does this have to go through the selectmen, or can the harbor master just do this?
My understanding is it has to be approved by the harbor master and the select board.
Oh, okay.
After all, Walter, this is the town's municipal parking lot,
I think also for the moorings, getting a more clear definition on the use of Indian Neck parking lot might be well warranted.
Flip.
I had sent you about the point of what are the mooring holders? Are they people that are all throughout the whole harbor, or just people inside the marina? And are we gonna distinguish that?
Just the marina.
That was just a point of conversation, because it makes sense because it's the parking in that area. And if they have a mooring with inside the jetty, they're gonna need to park there. So I'm just thinking.
And what are our recommendations for enforcing all of this?
Martha, we'll take that on just a minute. Before we move on, I think I'm hearing that people are favoring the following: retaining the 58 trailer parking spaces by the guardrail, converting that middle block in front of the grandstand to 72 cars, the guardrail 52 cars adjacent to that, and to the far left at the beginning by Pearl, the 21 cars there. I think that the question that remains is, do we look at what Walter suggested about that middle block in front of the beach office of that 47?
So, are you talking about the double parking front back?
Yes.
The front
Yeah.
to front?
The double one in front of the beach parking lot.
That's too closest to the A ramp.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not along the guardrail, in the middle.
right in the middle. So you had suggested both sides of it, Walter? Because I'd suggested just using half of it, but
Half of it would be fine. I mean, we're using the whole guardrail, right? First of all.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 All the way
all
down.
the way around, right? All the way around to the gas dock, correct? That was the other thing I had written, over by Picard, where Picard's ramps are. I mean, those are ramps over there that are used for people that go out on their boats, that get on their dinghies and go out to moorings and all that. I mean, that area is used
By
as much-
the gas stocks, Flip, you're talking about 21.
not many.
21.
Yeah, right.
But
those
that
in-
47 block would be, half of it would be the 23.
I think, yeah, 23 or 27. I can't remember. I don't have that particular
Yeah, it's
picture in front of me.
23,
23.
half of 47.
I think the more, Joe, I think the more we can get allocated to, you know, to Marina use, so to speak, the better, without, you know, the pushback's going to be by the businesses, right? To make sure they have adequate parking for their patrons. So
They should be paying for that.
Well, they got 72 new spots you're gonna stick in there. That would be beautiful. That's what you gotta promote. Hey, look at all this
Exactly.
parking we got.
No,
They're
I
gonna have
thought
to
those
walk,
were-
so what?
I thought those were going to be, I thought we are going to use, there's 73 along the northeast rail along the slip line right there, right? And then
Yes,
72 new ones if we diagonally stripe
yes,
it. That's 145. And then
Right.
Walter has an amendment to increase that by,
23 would be 168.
yeah. So those, Flip, those would be exclusively for,
No, yeah, but I was saying pull out the middle ones and let the patrons use those, not the boaters. And try to suck up all the ones that are closer to the ramps.
So
Yeah,
use
that
the
makes
whole rail, the whole guardrail would be all boat stuff.
That's
Yeah.
73 right there.
And then
Including the ones by the gas dock.
No,
no, that's just the north side, I think, or whatever you call it, the
north
flip side.
side by the slips. It's
exactly.
2 and
Okay.
21 along the guardrail.
Okay,
If
so
we
that's
take-
90 something.
If we take those 73
Yeah,
and we add to them the 72 in front of the bandstand,
yeah,
okay? And take that back over in front of the beach sticker office, that double block of 47, and just take half of that, 23. That gives us a total of 168.
Yep, that
Okay,
sounds good.
now if we add to that 58 for trailers, we get 226 total out of 324. So
So I'm not on the same page.
what
Joe,
that,
Joe, you're not on the same page as I am. Is that what you're saying? You guys are trying to you want to stick all those 72 middle slots into the thing. I don't think anybody's going to go for that personally.
well, let's flip. Let's play it out look at the numbers and then we'll come back, okay?
Okay, starting big. We're starting big.
If we take the 72 in front of the grandstand.
Yep.
Take the 52 along the slip guardrail. Go all the way down the guardrail to
Yep.
Pearl where there's 21. Got it?
Yep.
Then that middle section in front of the beach sticker office, the double of 47. Take half of that, which is 23. Okay? That gives us 168 boat spaces, combination car and trailer, and the percentage comes out to 70% for boaters, combo car and trailers, and 30% left over. And I think, what Walter's idea establishes and what he was saying at the last meeting is, this is a marina parking lot, trying to move the thought process away from the municipal parking lot. And if you add that recommendation, the strong recommendation from the parking task force into the equation, where they're advocating for off-site parking with a shuttle bus, that would seem to all fit with a 70-30 ratio, anticipating an increase with the mooring field parking.
Okay, I got you now.
I support that. What, I think it would be helpful, Joe, to add into our memo or our motion, what that would mean in terms of relative spaces to total amount of mooring and slip holders. I don't know what that number is. Will should have that. Because that, I think that'll put some more kind of value on the sense of why we need that many spaces.
Of course, we have approximately 130 slip holders and 325 moorings, right?
Mooring.
Will?
Okay, so, okay,
That's what the dredging has been
Got
giving
it.
the feds and the state people. The numbers are impressive.
so about 450 or something, if I did my math right, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, okay.
yeah.
But I think that, keeping that in perspective is important, because someone should ask the question, well, why do you need so many spaces? Well, we have 450 mooring and slip holders. So, forget about how many go per slip or per mooring. I think that gets too gray to
And that
figure out.
70-30% ratio, I think would reinforce that it's marina parking.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's the main message that we want to try and get here, is that we want to move this from a muni lot to a marina lot, where we do share some spaces with the businesses there and the general public. So,
And that we're also a committee that's supposed to represent the voters.
exactly.
It kind of leads into, unless anybody wants to go over those figures again, it kind of leads into that other thorny issue of pay, no pay, who pays? Your
Well, the
thoughts?
marina,
one of
marina slip holders and mooring holders are paying.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what he's saying. The other thing you might want to add to this whole discussion and doing your 70-30 or whatever is that you are going to be adding those additional parking spaces, which is kind of alleviating a little bit of the, because those were strictly for trailers and stuff anyway, but you're going to increase some of the parking in the area. You know what I mean? If you do that. So we're going to
Those would be
increasing
designated
some more
for
spaces
voters.
anyway, to try to accommodate.
Flip those.
Yeah, but
as you say,
but it's new.
that's fine.
But I think,
I understand that, but we're still.
Yeah, they're new car spaces.
Yes,
So,
yeah, I get it. We're
Yeah,
adding,
more.
yeah,
yeah,
that's a definite positive.
right.
That's where it's important to have the color coding.
Yeah.
So that people know exactly where they can and can't park, and it makes, enforcement a lot easier as well.
Well, what do you think of that 70-30 ratio?
Yeah, the only thing I would hate to lose is the live parking spots.
The what, Will?
The live parking spots along the flagpole.
Oh, yeah, we didn't touch those
We didn't
at all.
include those. Yeah.
Okay, because I think those are very important.
Yeah.
For our, mostly for our seniors. And it's a good tax base too, voter base that really enjoys them.
When
but,
I'm looking at the fuel dock area, I see 13, 10, 11, and then all the lives, which are retained and
Good.
are not included in for voters.
Yeah, that's a really nice thing I think we have there for the people.
Especially when they're dredging. It's
Yeah.
standing room only. It's standing room only when there's dredging going on there.
Yeah.
Well, it also kind of
I know, it's
supports the business community. When they eat and drink locally, they can walk around, see
Yep,
the fishing
yeah.
fleet.
And,
Yeah.
and don't forget about our lawn tramp antics that everyone gets to watch. So that's
Sorry, Will, say that again.
It's a source of
On
entertainment,
tramp.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
especially on windy days.
May not need wind this year, is what it sounds like. Well, the
They
current.
just back them straight down.
If we're a go with this, my thinking is we've achieved one part of it with the numbers. The second part would be, who pays, who doesn't pay, nobody, and so forth. And then to incorporate all of that into supporting the parking task force recommendation of a shuttle bus, which hopefully would satisfy non-voters and satisfy business people. So the issue of paying, people have thoughts on that, I know.
I was thinking that, Joe, that would be a future, future consideration. I think this year, if we can get designated voter spaces, I think that's a huge win. And like someone said, Walter or whatever, I mean, essentially the boaters are paying anyway, maybe indirectly. So they would have that, those spaces allocated to them. And with regard to like shuttles and stuff like that, I don't know how feasible that is we can certainly put it in our proposal, but I don't know if that's feasible for 2022.
No, probably not.
That's part of I would see that as part of a longer term plan, because you have to find a place to take people and transportation, and
Yeah.
probably hire a third party to manage that, all that kind of stuff. So that's a little more complicated. And then I would think that maybe we can ask businesses, not we as Marina, but just to have the select board say to employees of the businesses there, they can park over in Mayo Beach and places like that, because it's not that long a walk over there. If they're there for 8 hours or, a full shift, then park over there. Don't take up, I don't know how many employees are at Pearl and Max combined, but.
When we did the survey on the parking task force, one of the things we learned is that boaters are parking at Mayo.
Right, which is, if they're willing to do that, that's great, I guess, but we're trying to make it even more convenient for them, right?
Well, I think the boaters were parking there because of the idea it being a municipal lot.
Yep.
And they didn't have any place to park.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the things I'm looking at is what Michael DeVasto said last time. Give us a plan. And it seems that our projecting a long-range plan for parking, incorporating that shuttle, and also relying on the document they have, which is the parking task force, would serve us well, not just to look at this year or next, but to look ahead.
Longer term, yeah,
To
exactly.
accommodate. And as I've said to the select board many times, the red flag that was raised in the Department of Revenue report calling for the need for much more revenue is always prevalent. And when I sat on the parking task force, people were amazed to hear that slip holders were paying $2,000 and mooring holders were paying about $1,000. And there's, boaters are paying.
Yep.
The other thought I mentioned last time is that, for the municipal end of it, people visiting and shopping and so forth, I don't think anybody who comes here has any opportunity wherever they come from to park free anymore. They're all accustomed to paying.
Yep.
I know, Walter, you had a strong thought about that.
Yeah, well, down at the pier right now, I don't think we should start worrying about paying yet. I think we should take this slow, because if you start to change too many things at once, everybody's gonna go nuts.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think just defining some spaces and giving the mooring holders and slip holders those tags and saying, hey, this is for the marina. I think that's going to be a real good first step, because eventually I think that whole parking space should be somehow a paid deal, except for marina, slip holders.
Right.
But
Yeah.
for now, I think just making our claim for those spaces is going to be a good first step.
No pain and no gate.
Yeah.
Now, at the last meeting, when we got into enforcement, the committee members asked me to talk with the police chief about possibly pitching in and helping out. So I talked with him and specifically talked about the yellow jersey traffic enforcement person on the bike last summer. And he told me he only had one applicant for that job last summer. That was her. He didn't know if she was going to be coming back, but if he had one or two, he'd be open to discussion with Will and us about contributing, but absolutely nothing awkward. He's down 3 positions right now. Under the new Police Reform Act, he's not allowed to hire summer officers without going through the full academy. So he's going to be stretched pretty thin. But for the the traffic person on the bike, if she comes back or he gets another applicant, he said around March or April, he would know more. And, he would be open to discussion about contributing.
Well, back to our phasing, if we phase it in this summer and we reconfigure the parking lot and put the marked lines down there and differentiate them by color, we're still going to have to do, some kind of enforcement. And one of the, problems is that, some of the workers at some of those establishments get there, fairly early in the day, and then they also leave late at night. So it's a question of enforcing them over time, I guess. But, and if they are enforced, are we going to put signage up, and will there be tickets issued if they're parked in the wrong spaces? I think that's all something that has to be handled by the, Board of Selectmen. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
Can I say something?
Well, I think they're also, per Michael's conversation, they're looking for recommendations. David?
A recommendation I have moving forward might be to hire a full-time or even a seasonal parking enforcement officer, a civilian parking enforcement officer, who is designated and hired specifically to enforce the parking at the marina and even in different other parking lots throughout the town to alleviate some of the police efforts. It happens in a lot of towns. We did that in Reading. He's the most unpopular person in the world because he took his job serious, but he was there, and we had 2-hour parking or 3-hour parking. And I think to answer Martha, some of those spots, especially where the restaurants are concerned that they're parking regularly, there should be signage that says 3-hour parking only and enforced. Chalk the tires. And if you come back and they're still there, you get a ticket. And if you designate a civilian parking enforcement officer to do that, doesn't cost a lot of money to the town. Something like that, a job like that, I think when we had it, I think the guy was paid, less than $20,000 a year, he had. So just a thought anyway, as far as moving forward goes.
Sorry about that.
Do you guys have any input on that as far as that goes? It works in other communities, and I don't know whether or not that would be another solution to the enforcement.
Well, and I also think it would be up to maybe some of the adjacent business owners to, tell all of their staff that this is where the designated parking areas are.
Yeah,
Well, I
exactly.
agree.
Yeah,
That has
exactly.
to happen. It doesn't
Right.
happen now, obviously.
Right. They don't care because it's a muni lot, right?
Well,
And
it goes all the way down to the Fox and Crow and into town. People are, if they're working down even in town. So there's a lot of businesses along that line that you gotta.
There's a lot of revenue the town could recoup from that kind of
Sure.
officer too. It's a
Yeah.
civilian officer that works just specifically. He's you give him a little uniform and a badge, and he has a ticket book, and he drives around in a designated vehicle that I'm sure the town could come up with that says park enforcement officer, and he goes around and he tags the cars that are illegally parked. That's his job.
yep. And once people start getting tagged, get a ticket, that'll be, it becomes more ingrained after that, right? The first time they say, whatever. And then they get a ticket, $50. It's like, oh, I'm not parking here again.
The hardest part about that was the burden it put on the police department. We used to have a hearing every Monday because when you have a chapter 90 on the highway, you get stopped for speeding. Most people can deal with that. No one likes to get a parking ticket. They
Right.
go absolutely bananas. So I never saw anything in my career like it. You could give someone a $150 speeding ticket, but if you give them a $20 parking ticket, they're ballistic. So it's one of those things where, there has to be, a set plan as far as a remedy goes and where it goes. But yes, it would be an ingrained people would get it. You know, they get their ticket once, they're gonna say, oh, I better not
Yeah.
do that again, because this guy is for real. He comes around, it happens all the time. Not gonna
Right.
get away with it.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, that's going to be a town thing, not a Marina thing.
Hopefully we can work together.
And to follow that, Walter, I think the business community would look upon a traffic enforcement officer negatively because he or she would they'd be depriving the businesses of parking spaces for the customers.
Well, and to just speak on that, I mean, what are we trying to accomplish here, though, you know, with in enhancing the ability for the people who are paying slips and moorings to be able to park down there and have it in a manner that's got some sort of modicum of organization. Otherwise, it would be a free-for-all, and I think you're gonna have a problem with some of the people, even if it's color-coded, being able to enforce that. That's a bear of an enforcement issue. That's a big area.
yeah.
I saw an interesting thing down in Melbourne, Florida, where we were at, and they did have a parking enforcement officers at the beach parking, which there are a lot of businesses along that area. Actually, you went over to the wrong spot, and the golf cart would come over to your car before you even got out of it. They were ready. But what the businesses ended up doing was buying a couple meters in front of their business for the hours that they were open. For example, like the coffee shop we went to, they would have a sleeve that went over the old school meter, and between these hours that they were open, they actually bought the meter from the town, and they had their 15-minute parking or whatever, and it was kind of wild to see that everyone that's what they did. They pulled into the coffee shop, into that spot, or they drove around till that spot was open, got their coffee or whatever, and then left. And you had free parking for the business, but the business actually paid the meter, basically. Which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, longer, more to that, more in a high tech. If you go down to the beach communities in South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, they use an app now, and everything's posted with signage. The app's free, and you just set your car up with your license plate number, and there's a zone and a spot number well marked, and you basically it uses GPS, so it knows where your car is, and you pay like $2 for 2 hours. It's nominal, but if you don't pay, it's a $50 fine. And I found out the hard way in South Carolina. I got a $50 fine the first week I was there, but it works like a charm. And it's all the enforcement officer has access to all the data because it's all basically through an app. So it's pretty amazing how effective it is, and it's super simple for the users and super simple for the enforcement as well. So, I mean, that's a longer term thing, but my point is that there's stuff out there now. There's tech out there that can really help to help to enforce this stuff, because I've seen it. So
if I might, another solution could possibly be to have a designated lot for the employees in these businesses.
Yeah.
And let the businesses
That's a good idea.
deal with that, so that they can be shuttled, and they're instructed when they're hired. You can't park on the pier. You have to park in the lot. We provide you transportation to and from when you're ready to go. There's a van or whatever it is that they can manage, that they can do that carpool. And I just think that's another solution to get those cars off the pier. And let the business owners work with that as well, with the town.
Are
good
you
idea.
suggesting, Dave, that the business owners provide the van?
Yes, they provide that.
Well, let's elaborate a little bit on that thought. On the parking, the Chamber of Commerce identified 60 businesses that are within walking distance of the pier, and identified that some of those people will park at the pier and then walk to shops up Commercial Street or up Holbrook Ave. Okay, so that elevated into the idea of utilizing the DPW parking lot. A lot of spaces could be had there. with a school bus type operation. Leave there, go downtown, go down Commercial Street, go down the pier, and then back.
Yep.
Not a long distance. And it would meet the business needs. People knew if they parked there, they could spend time free down at the pier. It could meet some boater needs and a lot of shop owner needs. Rather than just targeting the business community, that idea would service several constituencies. What do you think of that?
Yeah, that's
I
the
like that.
satellite parking and shuttle bus idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've always said that over by the COA center would be a good spot, because and then if there's future affordable housing in that area too, it even creates an avenue for them to get around without having to drive. But that's just my theory.
Yeah.
You know, wherever it needs to happen somewhere eventually. It's
Yeah.
gotta happen.
The idea was to keep it as short a run as possible. So people could identify that, hey, I'm not inconvenienced more than 10 or 15 minutes.
Right. Yeah, no, I meant the old COA building. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah,
Along Pond
yeah,
Road.
yeah.
By the elementary school, because the elementary school is not really used in the summertime.
Yeah.
And that's a real quick in and out off the highway and
Yeah.
everything else. But
What if I composed a draft of what we've covered tonight? And could plug into that the idea of shuttle parking. If we don't do that, we're going before town government and we're advocating for a 70, a sizable percentage of voter slots to be taken. And I think we can anticipate blowback from the business community. And by referring to the recommendation that was made about the shuttle bus, it would give them an out, so to speak. What if I put that together for discussion in a draft?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah,
I mean, we gotta coordinate it with the whole parking task force thing, that's for sure.
well, it's on the books and it's in our favor. Why not use it?
Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Gathering dust and it's not that old.
So if we do this, if we vote on it next meeting, that's March, go to the selectmen thereafter when you can get on the agenda, that's the plan?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll write a composition for your review, a draft,
Mhm.
and you finalize it and make a motion, and then we could go from there at March or April.
Right, because we just need enough time to actually implement it before the season. So that's all. It's a little tight, right? But if we can get the selectmen to recognize the issue and get positive feedback, I think that's a significant progress. So
I think we all know that change does not come about easily.
no, exactly.
And I think we can also anticipate a lot of blowback from the business community because old habits don't change easily. It's long been a municipal lot. They refer to it as such. I mean, we heard some people, absolutely come out and say that's not a marina parking area. That is a municipal parking area. So the more prepared we are to put a package together, giving them some outlets, I think would sell it a little better. All right.
The only other thing I want to add is there any way that once we do develop that and Joe, you formalize that plan, that, we try and include that with all of the slip owners so that they're all educated on what we want to do so that we have their support? It makes it a lot easier if there's strength in numbers when it comes to those things as well, I think.
Well, once we have a plan that you agree to, formulate it into a motion and we're ready to present it, I think at that point we should solicit all the voters' help, if, the select board may very well schedule a public hearing on it.
Right, and in that light is what I'm saying, of if the select board is inclined, as we don't know, but I mean, if they're inclined to say, not a good idea, we still want to continue to have, Wellfleet is Wellfleet and everybody's welcome on the pier type of thing. What's the purpose of what we're trying to do here? I mean, I think we need to get that, into a position where there's some strength in numbers and there's a great support base for what we want to do. And I think we have it. I just think, besides talking amongst ourselves, we need to expand this at some point, once we figure out exactly how we think it should be.
No, at the harbor, doesn't the harbor master have an email blast list that he could, throw this out to slip holders and stuff?
Yeah, our computer software does that. So we can, just like we would email the slip and lease contracts.
Yeah.
We can probably put that right in there and blast it out to everyone with an email.
Have you sent those yet, Will?
No, they're updating the computers and we're trying to get any of the little bugs fixed on it that the kind of, things that were quirky last year. We're trying to work out all that. So no, we haven't sent those out yet.
So that could be utilized to solicit support.
Yep.
When
Good
the
idea.
select board is going to deal with it.
Yeah.
And build our base, our foundation.
Yeah.
Okay, I will work at that and get it out to you before the next meeting. Anything else on that?
I got a question. I probably should have brought this up under new or old business or something. No, I guess not. I haven't seen our meetings posted in the independent paper.
I haven't either.
Yeah, I noticed that too. They're
Yeah.
I think they
absent.
get
yeah.
that from the town, and if you go on the town's website, unless you go to the calendar, they don't have it posted with meetings that are upcoming either.
So what's going on with that? Do we know?
I don't know. I went
Should
to
we
it
speak to
tonight
the
to get
editor
the
about it,
link.
maybe?
I went to it tonight to get the link, and they have a section to the right, upcoming meetings, but we're never in there.
Yeah.
So then I went to the calendar and we're on that, clicked that and got the link.
Yeah, it's a good point. We should have, so a lot of people read that paper. I noticed that too, Flip, that we're conspicuously absent in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shall I email Rebecca
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
fair.
Definitely.
Definitely.
and
They're
make that?
probably, the Independent's probably just scraping it off our website in some way, but wherever they're scraping it from, that link that you probably referenced, Joe, it doesn't have us, so they're not going, it's not showing up in the paper, so.
No, it's not. Okay, let me just make a note of that.
Could be live next time at our meeting though, right? Instead of Zoom.
There we go.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, that would be great. Get out of the house.
When's the last time you left the house, Flip? Come on.
I get out quite often.
Well, I read today the governor's going to lift the mask for school kids at the end of this month. So
Yep.
maybe in the spring we'll be able to meet.
I'd like to see town hall open up too.
Yeah.
Fort Knox right now.
Ridiculous.
The final item was the Marina management plan. Well, you weren't here at the last meeting when Michael DeVasto presented a clarification of the motion that the select board made. If you want to look at it, it's on the tape. It starts at minute 9 and goes to minute 25. But my thought was, looking at the clock, it seems that that whole process that he outlined, that we discussed with him, should probably start with a needs assessment done by the harbor master, done by Will, and done by this committee, and bringing all of our thoughts on that assessment to the table and then build on it from there. there's certainly, I'm sure, no lack of items that we could put down on that. Your thoughts? We could bring those assessments to the table next time.
Yeah, I think that would also help support our parking proposal as well, because I'm sure that will come up as a
Well, he had
major item.
mentioned that as one of the
Yeah, yeah,
items. It should be
exactly.
incorporated.
Exactly. So it kind of, if that's a part of our plan, I think overall, I wrote you, Joe, and I copied everybody. Basically, I think, essentially a needs assessment, but we need to look at, the land side and the water side, and kind of look at it in a prioritization.
Yeah.
Not everything's going to be able to be done in a short term, so kind of plan it out, whether it's the bathhouses or, upgrading other areas, things like that. But, Will, you could be really helpful in kind of, because you're the eyes and ears down there mostly of where the priorities are for the marina.
Well, Michael had mentioned, for Will to bring an assessment to the table and for us. In the interest of time, what I'd like to do is to have each of you shoot me an email as we get closer to the meeting, just listing items, not elaborating, but listing the items that have to be addressed. Infrastructure, docks, and I can consolidate them, okay, into one and have it ready for the meeting. Would you be willing to do that? Just send me a list of what you think needs to be assessed.
Yeah.
Everybody else okay with that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
All right, and I'll blast out an email before, probably a week or so before the meeting. Just send me your list and I'll consolidate them. And then we'll sit down with Will's list and look at everything.
Yeah, I would say the only thing I'd add to that, Joe, is just when you send out the email, I think you want to look at, obviously we have physical assets, right? The land side and water side assets, but then also from, and this is where Will can help, but also operationally, Will, what else, what's lacking? What are priorities to really improve the level of service from the, to the boat owners? That would be super helpful, and you're a lot closer to that, because I think kind of the operation, whether it's staffing issues, technology issues, anything like that would be, I think, really helpful, because it should be part of our plan, because you kind of have the physical assets and then you have the operational aspects of actually running the day-to-day during the season. So
Michael said everything should be included, and he kept coming back to the word management. It's a management plan.
right,
But
exactly.
including anything and everything down there. It
Yep.
should be addressed.
Yep. Get rid of the beach and shellfish house.
Yeah. Yeah, and put a moratorium on new grants so boaters don't have a problem.
Yeah.
New business and future concerns. Anybody have anything?
Got plenty to think about right now.
Yeah.
I think we've covered a lot. Looking at the calendar, 4 weeks would be March the 9th. How does that set with everybody?
I will be out of town.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I can make that either. I'm going to be, I know I'm going to be traveling that day, so it's unlikely I'd be
Yeah.
available.
Another person mentioned a conflict too. What about the following week, March 16th?
It's good
The day
for me.
before
Should
the-
be okay.
Yeah, that would work.
That look good?
That looks
Yep.
better for me too.
Okay. We'll put it down for the 16th. Thank you, everybody. I think we accomplished a lot. And we'll entertain a motion to adjourn at 8:31.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay,
I'll
Walt,
second it.
Second, Or Dave
And
second.
Martha second. I don't think we know the roll call. Everybody say aye.
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 Any nays? Thank you, everybody. Stay
All right.
safe, huh?
Okay.
Good night,
Good
good
night.
night, everybody.
Night.
Good
Bye-bye.
week.
Yep, so long.
See you a little later.
Goodbye.
Bye.